The Nkonkobe area consists of Alice, Middle Drift, Fort Beaufort and Simo. The word Nkonkobe is derived from the beautiful mountains in the region. The area is famous for its educational institutions, Fort Hare, Lovedale and Hilltown. Other famous leaders that studied in these institutions were Robert Sobukwe, Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi and Robert Mugabe of Zimbabwe, amongst others.
Hilltown is the old missionary institution here, established in 1855 on the 9th of May. It is one of the oldest institutions of learning in the entire continent. And as we speak today, Hilltown is but one of the pilot sites that have been identified by the then Minister of Arts and Culture, Paulo Ujola Jordan, to be one of the schools that would be renovated and be turned into academic institutions of excellence. So the project, under the auspices of the Historic Schools Restoration Program, took off the ground sometime in May 2008, and it was launched by the then President of the Republic of South Africa, Thabo Vuyelwa Mbeki, here at Hilltown. So it was launched here, and since then, 2008, a lot has happened here, starting with the donation of the tune of 2.3 million for the resuscitation of some of the buildings around here. For instance, Petro SA donated that kind of funding for the establishment of ICT lab as well as a science laboratory. So it's the two classrooms have been finished from the block around here, and hopefully by the 1st of January it will be up and running.
This area is an area of rugby and cricket in particular, because when you look into the history of rugby, it has been played here in this area in particular. Way back in 1800s, Gran Homo was a student at the University of Fort Hare. Before he went to Bloemfontein and Soweto, he played rugby here in this dusty town of Alice. And he has been recognized today. There's a tournament that SA Rugby is playing called the Under-16 Grand Homo Week.
People started watching rugby when these institutions like Fort Hare, Hilltown and Lovedale were playing rugby, and it was the influence of those people that established these institutions. And then I think people started to watch this rugby being played by these institutions, and they copied this thing and come to our townships and villages to start playing it.
Since 1968, rugby was a catalyst in our area in terms of making us understand the politics of that day, which led to the politics of today. Before we were members of the band organizations, we were members of rugby, and we were groomed to be administrators whilst we were players. But when talking cricket, there is a businessman here, Mr. Ngumbela from Aituchwa. He is spending millions and millions of rands in development of cricket in this country. And the reason why he is doing that is to see that there needs to be a pathway for our children to go and play for the Proteas. Ngumbela spent a lot of money building the stadium in Hilltown. Not only the stadium that is there are 3 different fields in that area that Ngumbela spent money on.
Our area used to have quite a lot of good players, cricket players. And at one stage, a South African black 11 was selected. Out of that 11, 9 people were originally from Fort Beaufort.
Lovedale Press was first established in 1824 by the missionaries from Scotland, Glasgow missionaries. Yeah. The first letters of Xhosa were first printed here. The aim of the missionaries was entirely to spread the word of gospel and to influence the Xhosa-speaking people to the acceptable way of life in a civilized world. So from there it carried on publishing books and pamphlets for Lovedale College. Then they went on to publish some of the books for our former or prominent writers, people like S.E.K. Mqhayi, Jabavu, and others.
Professor D.D.T. Jabavu is a famous son of John Tengo Jabavu. He was the editor of Imvo Zabansundu. Professor D.D.T. Jabavu returned from London in 1912. And he lectured at Fort Hare with Professor K.
This one is, this picture is Reverend Tiosoka. We can remember him by taking a part in translation of Xhosa Bible, which was completed in 1887. The other gentleman is Reverend Shepherd, who was also one of the missionaries or one of the principals of Lovedale College.
Cecilia Makiwane, the little background that I have about her, maybe my facts are not correct, but I think she was a student at Hilltown and qualified at Lovedale during those days. As a board member of Victoria Hospital, we are busy negotiating and discussing with the Department of Health about the statue of Cecilia Makiwane. Cecilia Makiwane was the first black nurse to be graduated as a nurse in Africa, and her statue is here at Victoria Hospital. And we fail to understand why Cecilia Makiwane is named at a hospital in Dantsane instead of here in Alice, because her statue is here in Alice. So we are negotiating that with the department to relook into that issue.
The Mandela Heritage Development and Resource Center is going to house a mini museum, Hilltown Museum, that will store or keep all the collections that are related to the history of this area, not only Hilltown as such, but Fort Beaufort, Alice area at large. Because as you can remember, Hilltown itself has been an institution that has had a lot of influence to numerous people here, particularly the African intelligence here. And then therefore, it has been able to expand its radius all over the continent. So the reason for establishing the museum itself within the Mandela Heritage Resource Center is to, to rejuvenate, to resuscitate the history the untapped history that has always been here. All right, and create a kind of a renaissance within the site itself.